I actually don't want a burrito, I just ate earlier.
Oh, no.
I heard you're still eating your burritos 3 times a day.
Twice as loud, I am burrito man. Hey! Get away from my burrito, little bastard.
Back in 2002, reality TV was mostly a social experiment starring ordinary people, but then one show came along and flipped the entire script, turning celebrities into test subjects and creating the blueprint for modern television as we know it. The Osbournes gave us an unfiltered, chaotic, and hilarious look into the life of a rock and roll family, a world away from the polished image of fame that we were used to. So how did the wild home life of the Prince of Darkness become a global sensation that paved the way for basically every celebrity reality show that followed? To really get how revolutionary the Osbournes was, you have to picture what TV was like in the late 90s and early 2000s. It was all polished sitcoms like Friends and serious dramas like Law and Order. Celebrities were these carefully managed figures you only saw in planned interviews or on red carpets. Their private lives were off limits, and their public image was all about aspirational perfection. In a lot of cases, some things haven't changed. Reality TV existed back then, but it was a totally different animal. You had competition shows like Survivor and Big Brother, which threw regular folks into intense, made-up situations. And then you had MTV's own groundbreaking show, The Real World, which just put a bunch of young, unknown people into a house to see what would happen. It was framed as a type of social experiment, turning everyday people into temporary stars. The key word here is ordinary. The whole point of the genre was making regular people famous, not peeking into real lives of those who already were. Another program that I think should be mentioned when talking about reality TV is the Howard Stern radio show, which also had an accompanying TV show on E! Some of the best and most memorable moments from that show deal with the staff members' personal lives. Then you had the celebrity persona itself. Rock stars especially were simply myths. Ozzy Osbourne was the Prince of Darkness, a guy famous for his wild stage presence, metal anthems, and a legendary incident with a bat. He was a larger-than-life character, and the thought of a camera crew following him, not on tour but around his house, wasn't just new, it was completely bizarre. Nobody was ready for the reality of Ozzy being a dad, a man who was baffled by technology and just trying to make it through the day. In some ways, he was like every dad out there. The whole idea for the Osbournes was actually sparked from several things. One was a meeting that an MTV producer named Greg Johnston had with Sharon Osbourne, his wife and manager. She met Johnston and a bunch of other producers from the network for lunch one day, and she told them these crazy stories about what goes on in her house. Sharon remarked how people never believed her stories and jokingly said that she wanted proof, and the producers thought this could make great television. A second thing that sparked the show was another MTV program called Cribs. The Osbournes were actually featured on an episode of Cribs when they gave a tour of their totally chaotic Beverly Hills mansion that they had newly moved into. Here was a family that was brutally honest, completely over the top, and hysterically funny. The light bulb went on. What if instead of a 15-minute tour, they just filmed everything, the network executives thought? There was a third inspiration which you might not expect. There was a BBC documentary on the family called Fame and Fortune, which came out in 1997. When the idea was pitched to the Osbournes, no one had ever made a TV show like this before, so MTV was making it up as they went. The family agreed, and MTV basically set up a full-blown production office inside their garage to film them 24/7. Initially, the family got a payday that seems almost quaint by today's standards. Some sources reported that it was around $20,000 per episode for the first season that was to be split between the 4 of them. The number, of course, skyrocketed once the show became a monster hit. But one family member wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. The eldest daughter, Aimee, valued her privacy and knew that being filmed constantly would change her life forever. She chose not to be included on the show, a decision that led her to moving out of the family home at just 16 to get away from the cameras. In later interviews, Aimee explained that she wanted the chance to grow into a person in private rather than being remembered as a teenager on a reality show.
That's different about me and my family.
Why would you not want to participate with the rest of the family?
It's kind of like, okay, I want to be a singer.
Perfect.
And I felt if I would have stayed with the Osbournes and done the whole Osbourne thing, I felt as though maybe I would have been typecasted right away before I had a chance to experience other things.
Was Mom mad when you decided not to participate?
She was hurt, and we definitely had our rough times for a couple of months with our disagreements. But it really was nothing to do with me not loving them and not, you know, wanting the world to know that I am a part of this family.
Do you have any regrets?
No, I really don't.
When the Osbournes premiered on March 5th, 2002, it hit like a cultural earthquake. In its first season, it became the most viewed series in MTV's history, with the finale pulling in over 7 million viewers. It wasn't just a hit, it was a full-blown phenomenon. Almost overnight, the Osbournes went from a famous rock family to the most talked-about people on the entire planet. What made it so irresistible, though? It was the radical, almost shocking mundanity of it all. Here was the Prince of Darkness completely defeated by a TV remote, arguing with his pets, or just angry over who stole his beer.
Go out with a t-shirt with cocaine on your t-shirt and give me the knife. I'm stuck on the weather channel.
Hi, is Kelly there, please? Could you... Thank you so much.
The show's genius was in its sitcom-style editing, framing the family's profanity-filled arguments and bizarre daily drama as pure comedy. The jazzy Crazy Train cover and the opening credits set the tone really perfectly.
Living as folks.
This wasn't the scary, demonic Ozzy of legend. This was a bumbling, lovable, and hilariously out-of-his-depth dad. Many of us could relate to it. The dynamic between the family was the real heart of the show. You had Ozzy's often confusing mumbling, Sharon's fierce take-charge attitude, and the rebellious but loving energy of teenagers Jack and Kelly. Their affection for each other was obvious even under all the screaming and swearing. In some respects, it kind of reminds me of the Bundys from Married with Children. Despite all their crazy antics and personalities and conflicts, at the end of the day, they're still a family who love one another. Ozzy summed it up best himself in the first episode when he told his family,
"Tell me to some clubs, we'll hang out."
Yes, Jack, I really understand, but you gotta understand where I'm coming from. I love you all. I love you more than life itself. You know, mad.
It was this mix of extraordinary rock star lifestyle with the totally relatable frustrations of family life that made the show feel so authentic and yet addictive. It didn't feel scripted because, for the most part, it wasn't. It's the formula of chaos and heart that became the blueprint for so much of what we see on TV and streaming services today. And if you're enjoying this little trip down pop culture memory lane, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives. It really helps me out. Now let's get back to the house that the Osbournes built. Before the Osbournes, the wall between a celebrity's public image and their private life was a fortress. The show didn't just cross the line, it smashed it to pieces. It created an entirely new genre, the celebrity family docuseries. Suddenly, every network was scrambling for its own version, leading to a wave of shows like Hogan Knows Best, Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, and Newlyweds, Nick and Jessica, as well as Meet the Barkers. But the biggest and most lasting legacy of the Osbournes is without a doubt the path they cleared for keeping up with the Kardashians. The formula is identical. Chaotic but a loving family, a focus on everyday situations blown up for drama and laughs, and a sharp matriarch managing the whole circus. The Kardashians sadly simply took the blueprint the Osbournes laid out and built a billion-dollar empire. The Osbournes proved that there was a huge appetite for seeing stars not as perfect idols, but as flawed, relatable people. It normalized the idea that fame itself could be the final product. The show also completely changed what it meant to be a celebrity. It was the first major rebrand of the reality TV era. Ozzy transformed from a legendary rock icon into a beloved, cuddly TV dad. The show introduced his music also to a whole new generation, and even gave him his first ever UK #1 single with Changes, a duet he recorded with his daughter Kelly. Sharon, meanwhile, went on to become a TV host, while his kids continued to be in the spotlight. This showed a new way to build and maintain a career in the spotlight, and for better or worse, it tore down the wall of privacy between stars and their audience for good. The show's run was surprisingly short, though, burning bright for only 4 seasons from 2002 to 2005. According to the family, it didn't end over bad ratings, but because the intense fame just became too much to bear. Living under the constant surveillance took a huge psychological toll, especially on Jack and Kelly, who were just teenagers when it all started.
Do you ever think now that you would put your family in a reality show? Like, would you do that nowadays?
I don't know. And the reason I'm probably leaning towards no. And the only reason being is, like, I want my kids to be kids for as long as possible.
Were you ever, once you signed on and were involved in it, was there a time when you went, holy fuck?
100%. Without a doubt. There was a lot. That's why we ended it after 3.5 seasons. We just couldn't, it wasn't sustainable. It was two things. It was taking a huge toll on I think everyone's mental psyche.
Why? Tell me what that.
Well, it was like we went to bed we went to bed known amongst the music world, but not in the way of like not being able to walk down the street or getting followed. Because my dad, although my dad has been well known for many, many, many years, he was rock and roll famous. He wasn't TV famous. And it was, as you know, that's a very different thing. Especially back then when all it was TV, radio, movie. There was no internet. There was no...
So you didn't enjoy that? I would think a young guy who's going into the clubs...
At first I did. At first it was great. And then it was Pandora's box. Because I kind of fell into... drugs, alcohol, just those usual, Hollywood tropes of childhood success.
But you don't think you would have done it if you weren't on TV?
I don't think I think it just sped it up.
Ozzy also grew tired of shooting the show, telling Aimee in 2020, the level of success that TV show got us was too much. I had to bow out. I said to Sharon, I don't like the way it makes me feel, and I can't stand cameramen in my house. I'm not upset that I did it, but I wouldn't do it again. People were going, aren't you worried about losing your fans? I said, I'm not worried about losing my fans. I'm worried about losing my mind. Despite its brief run, the show's legacy is undeniable. It won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Reality Program in 2002, cementing its place in TV history. It also proved that reality TV could handle incredibly serious topics with raw honesty. The show didn't shy away from documenting Sharon's harrowing battle with colon cancer or Ozzy's recovery from a near-fatal ATV accident. These moments of real vulnerability resonated with audiences and humanized the family in a way that few scripted shows ever could. But that legacy is also complicated. While it was praised for its authenticity, even the family admits the line between reality and performance kind of got blurry. The show was heavily edited for laughs and drama, and as Ozzy later confessed, he was stoned during the entire run of the show, which made his on-screen persona even more out there. It kicked off an ongoing debates about privacy, the ethics of mining family life for entertainment, and the potential exploitation of its stars. The show that made the Osbournes household names also came at a steep personal price. So did the Osbournes really invent modern television? In a lot of ways, yeah. It created a formula that's been copied over and over again for more than 20 years. It slammed celebrity culture and reality TV together to create a brand new genre that dominates our screens today. By trading their privacy for a new level of fame, the Osbournes gave us a look behind the curtain that was shocking, funny, and surprisingly full of heart. They tore down the wall between celebrities and their audience, and in doing so, they didn't just change television, they completely redefined what it means to be famous in the 21st century. But what do you guys think? Did the Osbournes change reality TV for the better, or did it open a Pandora's box of overexposure and curated authenticity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and we'll see you again on Rock and Roll True Story sticker.